We're going to talk about a gas that's, well, it's everywhere. It's fundamental to life on Earth, but under just the right circumstances, it can become a completely invisible and totally silent killer. So let's get into the very strange and very deadly paradox of nitrogen. Okay, take a deep breath. Seriously, right now. About 78% of what you just pulled into your lungs, that was nitrogen. It is in every single breath you take all day long. We are, for all intents and purposes, swimming in an ocean of it. And right there, that's the big question, isn't it? If nitrogen is so common, so harmless that it makes up most of the air we breathe, how on earth can it be fatal in just a few seconds with absolutely no warning signs? The answer is pretty wild, and it all comes down to a weird little blind spot in our own biology. So, to really get a handle on the danger, we have to start with the basics. We've got to understand the gas itself. What exactly is nitrogen? You know, you can think of nitrogen gas as a ghost. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and you can't taste it. In the air, it's totally non-toxic and what scientists call inert, which is just a fancy way of saying it doesn't really react with anything. And that includes us. It just goes in your lungs and right back out again with every breath. It's a completely harmless passenger.
All right, this is where it starts to get really interesting. See, the danger of nitrogen isn't about what the gas does to you, but about a strange quirk in how we evolved.
Think about it for a second. When you hold your breath, what is that powerful, almost panicky feeling that forces you to finally gasp for air? I mean, most of us, myself included, would probably guess it's our body screaming for oxygen. But believe it or not, that's wrong. So here's the twist. Our body's real alarm system, that desperate urge to breathe, is not triggered by a lack of oxygen at all. It's triggered by the buildup of carbon dioxide, CO2, the waste gas we're trying to get rid of. Our brains are amazingly tuned to detect too much CO2, but they have almost zero ability to detect not enough oxygen. You know, a Reddit user in Explain Like I'm 5 put it perfectly. For pretty much all of human history, low oxygen and high CO2 always happen together, right? Like being trapped in a cave or being underwater. So our bodies only ever needed one alarm. But in a pure nitrogen environment, that crucial alarm system completely fails. Just look at the difference here. When you're suffocating normally, that CO2 builds up and your body freaks out. You panic, you gasp for air. But when you're breathing pure nitrogen, you just keep exhaling CO2 like nothing's wrong. The alarm never, ever goes off. There's no panic, no pain, no desperate urge to breathe. In fact, some people who've survived incidents have reported feeling kind of dizzy or even euphoric as their brain is just silently being starved of oxygen. So, with our internal alarm system completely bypassed, how does nitrogen actually do the damage? Let's look at the mechanism behind this silent takeover. The key phrase to remember is oxygen displacement. See, nitrogen isn't a poison. It doesn't attack you. The danger comes when a whole bunch of it floods an area and literally pushes the oxygen out of the way. When the oxygen level in the air drops below what our bodies need to survive, that environment becomes deadly. And this table shows you just how fast things can go wrong. Normally, the air is about 21% oxygen, and we're totally fine. But drop it just a little to 16%, and your thinking and attention are already impaired. Drop it to 12.5%, and you've got very poor judgment, you feel sick, your coordination is shot. And once you get below 10%, well, it's pretty much lights out. Unconsciousness, convulsions, and eventually, death. And here's the truly terrifying part, the speed. This is not a slow decline. If you walk into a room that's been filled with nitrogen, you could lose consciousness after taking just 1 or 2 breaths. 1 or 2. You wouldn't even have time to understand that something is wrong. Now, this isn't just some abstract theoretical problem. This silent killer is a very real hazard in a lot of workplaces. Just let that number sink in for a moment. 80. In just a 10-year span, 80 people in the U.S. went to work and died from nitrogen asphyxiation. That's 80 people who likely had no idea what was happening to them until it was far too late. And look at where these things happen. It's a surprisingly wide range of places. Yet you expect it in big industrial plants and labs, but it also happens in medical facilities and even, tragically, in nursing homes, sometimes from something as simple as a mistaken gas delivery. And while a confined space like a tank is an obvious risk, a leak can just as easily fill an open room and catch people totally off guard. And that is exactly why signs like these are literally a matter of life and death. You look at these tanks, they look completely ordinary. There's nothing about them that screams danger. Without these clear, explicit warnings, Your senses have no way of telling you that the air right around them could be lethal. And this quote from the U.S. Chemical Safety Board, it really gets to the heart of the problem. It's usually not some massive, dramatic equipment failure. More often than not, it's just a simple lack of awareness. People just don't understand how quickly and how silently nitrogen can push all the oxygen out of a room.
So what's the takeaway from all this? How do we possibly protect ourselves from a danger we can't see, smell, or feel? Well, the answer is actually pretty straightforward. It's all about knowledge and preparation. It really just boils down to these 3 critical steps. First, you have to detect the danger with instruments, because your body can't. Oxygen monitors are absolutely essential. Second, you have to ventilate. Pumping in a constant supply of fresh air is your best defense against the gas building up. And third, you have to verify. Making sure all the gas lines and tanks are properly labeled prevents those awful mix-ups, like hooking up a breathing mask to a pure nitrogen line. And that really is the bottom line. Our internal alarms are ancient. They were built for the dangers of the natural world. But today, we live in a world with these man-made, invisible threats. Nitrogen isn't evil. It's just the basic part of our planet. But respecting its power and understanding our own biological blind spots, that's the only way to stay safe.